If you could, please give me your name and where you're from.
Dan Chiles. I'm from Springfield, Missouri, which is where this interview is being conducted. Great town. It's one of, what, 25 Springfields in the United States, but it's the biggest.
Oh, okay. Excellent. Excellent. And you are on the city council here at Springfield?
Yes, one of 9 people on our city council.
I see. Well, why don't you tell me a little bit about yourself, though. Tell me about your background.
Well, I'm a manufacturer by trade. So I sort of innovative guy with lots of patents and a background in developing products and selling them throughout the country. So, and that's what I do. I make things. And my other career is being on city council, which is I'm in my 3rd year, winding up actually my career on city council and headed off to greener pastures, as it were.
I see. And what would that be?
I'm actually moving directly west of Springfield. I'm going to be living and working on a farm. It's a family farm.
I see.
So I'm not going to be that far from Springfield, but it's going back to my roots because I grew up on my grandparents' farm. Every summer we went and worked on my grandparents' farm. It's from just being a tiny little kid to a 20-year-old. So that's what I'm getting back to.
Now you've had some health issues.
Yes, I have. I was diagnosed with prostate cancer, and it's what they call a Gleason score of 7. So for a lot of people with lower scores, you can be kind of a watchful waiter. You can see how it's going to develop. But at 7, they say you really need to decide what course of action to take. So,
And what kind of action? What do they do for that?
oh gosh, there's so many choices, and some of them fairly radical. But in my case, I'm doing a combination of IMRT, which is radiation, and then tomorrow at 5:30 in the morning, I'm going in for seed implantation.
I see. And what is that?
Little radioactive seeds that are radioactive material inside of a stainless steel capsule, and there's a bunch of them, and they insert them with needles. Yeah, I know it sounds painful.
Yeah.
And so that's what's going to be happening to me tomorrow. And they say that unless the system, it's a system-wide thing, which it might be, but assuming that it's not, they feel comfortable that this will help resolve the issue.
Now I understand prostate cancer is one of the best treated or easiest treated.
Yes, and I think, but it is also the #1 killer of men in terms of cancer. Not the #1. I think heart disease is still #1, but I think prostate is a fairly lethal reputation. So they say the sooner that you catch it, the better off you are. And I don't know if I caught it early enough, but I hope so. Find out.
I see. And that kind of has brought you into this other issue, hasn't it?
Yes, because I'm a 58-year-old guy, so I've been around the block, and there's no real surprises for me when it comes to general culture, and I guess that's my way of saying that as a guy in college and as a younger person, I had experience with marijuana, but it was only recreational, and really put that behind me. But then when I got this diagnosis, and I thought, well, wow, I need to get up to speed on what's been happening in our country in the last few years in terms of marijuana, cannabis's, its value as a medicine. Well, it turns out that there's a huge body of research that's been done to indicate that it has real therapeutic effects. Not only, and I think in my case, helping systemically to deal with the disease that I've got, but also to relieve some of the aspects of the suffering that may accompany it. So it's unfortunate that in our city, in our state, that medical marijuana is still a Schedule I drug. And I think for many people, it's more than a mistake, it's a tragedy. So one other courageous city council person on our board, Doug Burleson, I hope you'll be able to talk to soon. The two of us have gotten together and put together what we hope will be a series of community discussions. And the first one was last night. And we were amazed at the turnout. From just really Facebook notices and a couple of insertions in the paper, we had standing room only crowd. A very serious group of people. No dilly-dallying or looking out the window or playing with their computers or their cell phones. They were glued to the program. And that tells me that even in a very conservative place like Springfield, Missouri, we need to be looking at alternatives.
Well, of course, that's the hope, is the hope to have alternative treatments that can really make a real difference in the quality of life for people who are suffering from really serious issues like cancer.
Yes, I think given the track record of cannabis, what is it, 5,000 years of experience, and the fact that there's really not much about cannabis that we don't know. It's not some new drug that hasn't been tried before. The experience of millions of people around the world, many states have already found ways of turning it back into a therapeutic solution that it's always been in human history. That's the kind of knowledge that I think we need to talk about, and we get away from all the hysteria and the fear that accompanies this subject.
That's excellent. What is your hope for Missouri in regard to medical cannabis?
Well, the legislature seems really backward in this regard, and it would be hard to hope too much for those guys. But I think in the city of Springfield, and I think that's maybe where Doug and I represent several ends of the political spectrum, but we are sort of an incubator for a Tea Party culture here. A bunch of rock-ribbed, hard-headed, independent people who feel like, by golly, we'll be making our own decisions and we don't need the government to tell us what to do. And it is ironic that in this particular issue, that's very much a political issue for us. And that is, if we find a way of addressing our own suffering and to try and solve our own medical needs, why does the government need to be involved? Why shouldn't I be able to talk to my doctor and resolve things and work out my own remedies without having the government tell us what to do? And it's kind of a core value in Springfield, Missouri, and that's why I think we're going to find more support than we ever thought we would get, simply because people go, that's right. Yeah, that is the key issue, is the doctor-patient relationship. That should be supreme, and then whatever the government has to say should be second place.
I like that. That's great.
So anyway, we appreciate your work. You're a superstar in our meeting last night, and that's true. Because the work you've done, the websites you've put up, the authoritative voice you brought to that meeting was what we needed. Because it was clear, once the first discussion, there's a lot of confusion out there. People don't know what medical cannabis is, and they've heard so many things from so many different sources over so many years, especially misleading ideas, that I think the key thing that's really going to drive the discussion here is, what do we know for sure? What does science teach us? What does medicine teach us? What does culture teach us? What does history teach us? And all these things can give us information that will help us make the right decision. The thing that I don't think is very informative in this discussion is when the authorities weigh in and say it's nothing but a Schedule I drug. And now we know that is really misleading. Schedule I, as I understand it, means there's no medicinal value to this at all, and we know that's not the case. So automatically, we're talking about misinformation. And once we start to clear up that misinformation, I think people will start to make the better decisions.
Clearly, one of the first things that we need to do in this state is change the scheduling on cannabis.
How do we do that?
We do that by petitioning Health and Senior Services. The Health and Senior Services here in Missouri are the people who are in charge of this drug scheduling.
Really?
And it is quite simply as simple as petitioning them. And we have the means to do that.
Is it something that the legislature has to approve, or is it simply a matter of research and science?
It's primarily research and science. And our legislature has got to follow the lead of Health and Senior Services on that decision.
So, is there something we can do to support that?
Oh yes, we're in the process right now of drafting the petition for Health and Senior Services, and we will be making a trip to Jeff City to present that, and y'all are welcome to come along.
Great.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, sir.
Yeah,
I really appreciate it.
Yeah,
thank you so much. That's one.
That's great.
You did great.
Okay, I'm just going to sit over there and go.